Now, as Jesus and his disciples were going down the road, they found a man who had been born blind. His disciple asked him, Rabbi, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents' sin? And Jesus replied, it was not because of his sins, nor his parents' sin. This happened so that the glory of God may be revealed. We must quickly carry the work assigned to us while it is day, for the night cometh, no one can walk. But while I'm in this world, I am the light of the world. Then Jesus spat on the ground, made mud with his saliva, spread it across the man's eye and said, go and wash in the pool of Siloam. Now, Siloam means sent. And the man went and came back seeing. Now, some of his neighbors who knew him as the blind beggar saw him and said, was that not a man who used to sit by the side of the road and beg? Some said, he just looked like him. Others said, he is the man. But the man kept saying, yes, I am the same one. Yes, I'm the very one. Then he asked him, how can you now see? The man said, well, the man they called Jesus made mud and spread it around my eyes and said, go wash in the pool of Siloam. I went and washed, and I see. The neighbors took him to the leading priests and the Pharisees because it was on the Sabbath that Jesus had made the mud. Well, he healed him. And the Pharisees asked him all about it. The man said, he made mud and spread on my eyes and said, go wash in the pool of Siloam. And I washed, now I see. And the Pharisees talked among themselves. Some of them said, this man Jesus is not from God. But others said, how can an ordinary sinner do such miraculous sign? So there was a deep division of opinion among them. So the Jewish leaders called the man who had been blind, now could see, and asked him, what is your opinion about this man Jesus, since he opened your eyes? The man said, well, I think he must be a prophet. The religious leaders refused to believe that this man has been born blind and could now see. So they called in his parents and asked them, is this your son? And was he born blind? If so, how can he now see? And the parent replied, we know that this is our son and that he was born blind, but how he's now see, we don't know. Ask him. He's of age. He can speak for himself. Now, the parents said this because the religious leader had already announced that any man claiming that Jesus was the Messiah would be thrown out of the synagogue. That's why they said, ask him. He's of age. So for the second time, they call in the man and ask and say, let God get the glory for this, because we know that this man, Jesus, is a sinner. The man said, whether he's a sinner, I do not know, but one thing I do know, I was blind, and now I see. Then they ask him, what happened? How did he do it? And the man said, look, I already told you once. Why do you want to hear it again? Oh, you want to become his disciples too? And they cursed him and said, you are that man's disciple. We are the disciples of Moses. We know that God spoke to Moses. As for this man, we don't even know where he came from. The man said, well, that's very strange. He opened my eyes, and yet you don't know where he came from? We know that God did not listen to sinners, but is ready to hear and answer the prayers of those who do and obey his will. If he was not from God, he couldn't have done it. He couldn't have done it. And they cursed him, said, you were born a total sinner, and you try to teach us? And they threw him out of the synagogue. Now when Jesus heard what had happened, he went and found the man and said to him, do you want to believe in the Son of Man? And the man said, who is he, sir? I want to believe. And Jesus replied, you have seen him, and he's speaking to you right now. And the man worshiped him and said, yes, Lord, I believe. And Jesus said, it was for this reason that I came into the world, to give sight to the blind and to show those who say they see that they are blind. Now some of the religious leaders were standing by and heard him say that and said, well, he's surely not saying that we are blind. And Jesus said, if you were blind, you will not be guilty. But because you claim we see, your guilt remains. Shalom.